All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here at MLG Arena in Columbus, Ohio, and we have an exciting match for you guys next. Of course, Lore had to step out for a second, and I'm here to bring the game actions to you. I am Jared Colston, also known as VHEL, and I'm still joined here with both Sid and Adrian to bring you the play-by-play action in the match. Of course, our big game that we're talking about right now is going to be Method NA versus Method EU. Tons and tons of stars on both teams.
Yeah, so many storylines here as well. Like Method EU, I don't know if we still need to explain this storyline, just how phenomenal it was that they were able to make it through the European regionals without no LIFO. And then Method NA as well, it's like they're one of these teams that you expect so much from. During the qualifiers, they maybe weren't the most convincing, but in the North American regionals, they were so dominant. Even in the finals, I think they won it 4-1, maybe 4-0. I think it was 4-1 against Panda Global, who we just saw dominating the Korean team. So we're expecting huge things from both these teams.
Yeah, Pry on Method EU's side, he was freaking out a bit in the European regionals. I'd sit down, he'd be eating breakfast in the morning, and he'd be, because No Lifer wasn't able to attend, he was down his mage, the major component when you're a rogue. He wasn't there, and he was always freaking out like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to make it through? This is so terrible. And he had Chaz on the team, and when we were talking to them more personally, Method EU referred to Chaz as kind of like the mom of the team. He just keeps them together, keeps them calm with a level head. I'm really hoping that that kind of synergy is going to pay out for them here in this series as they fight their sister team, Method NA.
Now, Method NA, of course, comprised of Sea-Doo, Snuts, Smexon, and Bean. So that is a great four-man roster if you had to pick one. I really like that they went ahead and added Bean to the roster because they really added that depth. You know, that he's able to play so many different specs that the team didn't have mastered before. As you can see there, they are on your screen right now. These guys are ready to play. They've been practicing a ton. You know, you can see a lot of these players streaming on Twitch constantly, but you've noticed that Sea-Doo has kind of mysteriously disappeared from streaming for a little while, and that's because they are really putting their all into this. You know, Sea-Doo really is talking about, he's mentioned a couple times on his stream and at regionals, at the Americas regionals, that, you know, he feels like this is his last shot for his victory. He's been to BlizzCon 3 times, he's lost BlizzCon 3 times, and he really feels like this is his year to win it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because we were outside the hotel lobby just yesterday, and Sea-Doo and Jar were playing kind of a game of trying to reach the ceiling at the front of it, and like Sea-Doo was jumping so high, he was trying so hard, and he couldn't quite reach it, and it was just kind of like the perfect analogy for his BlizzCon dreams so far. 3 attempts, not quite able to achieve it. He's reached semifinals multiple times, but he hasn't quite won it yet. Now he has this fantastic roster. Snuts 5 BlizzCon appearances now. He's won it. He won China in 2012. They have such a great chance, so much experience on this team, and this really has to be Sea-Doo's year if he's going to take it at all.
Now, of course, on the opposite side of things, Method EU, they had a rough road to get here at, of course, the European regionals. Of course, No Lifer wasn't able to attend, so they had to 3-man the entire tournament. And having that 4th man on your roster is a gigantic deal in this because of just how deep your roster goes. Of course, you know, Frofsy, to me, really stood out at the EU regionals, kind of as their all-star player to kind of get them back into the game and not be too tilted that they were down 1 man.
Yeah, Frofsy, as you can see on your screen right here, he normally plays a Shadow Priest. That's what he's most known for, as they qualified with Shadow Priest Mage Holy Paladin in the first cup. This team, Method EU, they are a comeback team. They'll often put their fans on the edge of their seat, losing that first game and then going all the way through the loser side of the bracket. I don't think they want to do that, but somehow they keep pulling it off over and over. So I'm curious to see if Frofsy has any other specs that he's been preparing for this matchup.
Yeah, full of surprises really does summarize Frofsy. Like we said, we've only seen him on the Shadow Priest prior to the European regionals, and then out of nowhere he pulls out this Mage, he pulls out the Ret Paladin. Rumors have it he's now playing the Warlock Demonology, of course being a very strong spec right now. So there's so many different things that he can potentially do, and with No Lifer back in the roster right now, that enables Frofsy. Frofsy, the Shadow Priest, we talked about it, Super mentioning how dominant that Shadow play was in the qualifier cups. They did not have that option during the European regionals as a 3-man roster. Now it's back. We've already seen NG Blue playing that Shadow play to its full potential, and I don't expect anything less from this team.
So now that you guys have broken down both of these teams and what they're playing, what comps they might have, who would you have to give this series to, Adrian?
For me, I think this is probably going to be the closest series of the day. I think the 2 methods, this is Method's such a great sponsor, they only pick up the very best teams. I'm going to give it in favor of Method EU. I've been following their story. I think they're super motivated. They have such a great roster. They're so strong. I think 3-2 Method EU.
You know what, just to keep the rivalry alive, I'm actually going to go with Method NA instead. I feel like Sea-Doo has been way more versatile than in the past. He's really known for playing that Shaman, and really only the Shaman. So in this tournament, he's broken out, or in the previous tournament, he broke out the Mistweaver Monk. It's definitely a healer that we don't see very often, and he performed phenomenally on it. He's been practicing a little bit of Paladin too, so I definitely think Sea-Doo will be able to carry his team. That's why I'm going with Method NA.
All right, I'm going to have to go with Method NA myself, just because the storyline of this team is awesome. Not only that, I've been following Snuts and Sea-Doo since their very first tournament, actually at an MLG in Anaheim forever ago. So it's great to see these guys, grow up through esports, starting out really young. So I'm going to have to give it to Method NA, but it's going to be close. 3-2 definitely. Now, Rich, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, Jared, not only is this one of the most anticipated matches of the entire tournament, it is also definitely going to be one of the closest ones. I was walking up to a bunch of the players backstage, asking them who they thought they were going to take it, and everyone was completely split. I think that Method NA is definitely going to be able to take it, though. They are just playing for so much here, Jared.
They really are, and it's great to see both teams prepare as much. We've been able to stand behind these players in the practice area and just see them queue game after game after game after game after game, just over and over, refining their strategies just a little bit and getting ready for this tournament.
Yeah, the coolest part about this tournament is that it's the new expansion. Legion came out, if you didn't know. It came out, and the coolest part is seeing all the different classes that everyone picks up. Like, I never thought I'd see Zuniaki on a DK in so long, and you never know what to expect in the first game, especially in this matchup. I really have no idea. Method NA have played so many different classes now, being picked up a Ret Paladin, even a Prot Paladin. Smexon's playing Enhanced Shaman. They've got Snuts, who can play Warlock, Hunter, Rogue, everything. I'm not even going to list it because it would go on forever. And then Method EU, we saw Prey break out a Windwalker Monk. Like, both the teams can play basically anything. So this is like a no-holds-bar game number one. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and with some of course, we are playing on patches 7.0.3, but there were some minor hotfixes, in particular to enhance Ret Paladins, Mages, just a few little things that happened here and there, and that's really one of the kind of underdogs classes is the Feral Druid, and not any team has a main Feral Druid other than Method NA. We might see Beamslayer able to optimize that. We've seen Feral, Shadow Priest, Holy Paladin has been one of those compositions that's been quite strong on the ladder, and that could potentially be an answer to what we would imagine is going to be the Rogue Mage coming out of Method EU.
Okay, so let's take a look at the changes to our Observer UI for you guys at home when you're following along. Of course, we kind of refactored the unit frames a little bit, as you can see. On the top row, you are going to have your defensive cooldowns. And then on the bottom row, those are going to be the offensive or throughput. You can tell if they're active when they have the yellow border around them. And of course, there you see highlighted is your trinket selection, which is the first tier of honor talent. So that's relentless going on. Now, of course, in the background behind the unit frame and the nameplates, if somebody has used an offensive cooldown, they're going to have that fire behind them, showing you that they're ready to go. And then on the other hand, if they've used a defensive cooldown, such as Divine Shield right here, you're going to see a shield behind both the unit frame and above the nameplate in the world. And then if you need to follow along the kind of the melee action to keep track of them, it's going to be what team the players are on, are going to be highlighted circles at their feet. Yep. And then there you go. And then if the game does go to dampening, of course, after 5 minutes, the healing is going to be reduced globally inside the arena. And so that'll be the indicator of how strong this nerf to healing is going to be.
Very
guys,
interesting.
We're getting very close to the start of the match. Smexon is definitely the rock of the team. He's always the one yelling right when he knows the kill is coming. You're just going to hear, kill, kill, kill the whole time, every time. So both these teams are known for that. Prey as well. You can hear No Lifer getting pumped up. These guys are ready to go.
Yeah, and I cannot wait to get into this game. This is going to be so exciting. Method EU, the fantastic sponsor, Method NA, the exact same fantastic sponsor. Maybe not the ideal situation for them as a sponsor, but at least they know one of the teams is going through to the next round. But unfortunately, one of these powerhouses is going to go down to the lower bracket just now.
Ooh, here in the Grand Arena, we're counting in. Method NA have locked in Enhancement Shaman, Demonology Warlock, Holy Paladin to go up against Method EU's RM Pala. Let's see how this plays out. We haven't seen Sea-Doo play very much Paladin on a tournament setting. Is he going to be able to perform is the question here. Both healers are going to be playing Paladins. They're both alts. We can see Snuts sending in that Fell Guard, trying to get into combat so his team can't get sapped. He should be able to get into combat. Looks like Prey is sneaking around the side here. He wants to move in. He's sneaking past the entrance gate. He's trying to look for CC. Lands a sap on Smexen. They open up immediately onto Sea-Doo. They want to punish him for switching on to this off class. They're going to really test Sea-Doo here.
Yeah, I expect them to tunnel him down. They haven't popped that Vendetta just yet, though, but he's dropping really, really low, having to trade out that Holy Avenger, and they also see the Fell Lord. That's a good use of the Fell Lord by Snuts. They're going to use it to zone out Pry. He can't really stand in it, or he's going to get stunned, but he's still doing his very best. There's the Vanish offensively to deny some of those heals, but Sea-Doo should be okay for now with that Holy Avenger.
Yeah, that Avenging Crusader talent is providing a lot of healing as they make a swap to Chaz, forcing his bubble almost immediately. Huge burst coming out from Method NA to force that. It seems like the Paladins are going to be the target for choice in this match. Smexen trying to swap over to No Lifer. No Lifer blinking away, polymorphing up Snuts. He's trying to slow down the pressure. A full fear secured onto Chaz. They're still trying to go after No Lifer. Smexen chases after him into the middle of the map. They're trying to punish Smexen. They've got him in the middle. If they can get any CC on Sea-Doo, they might be able to get a kill here. They've already got him down to half HP. Counter-Strike Totem goes down. They're actually not killing the Counter-Strike Totem off. It's doing quite a bit of pressure to Chaz. Smexen still wants to push in here. He wants to stay on No Lifer. Now he's trying to go defensive here, trying to look for a Hex. He gets kicked on the Hex. Snuts is trying to keep Smexen good here with some fears coming out onto Prey. Chaz now getting swapped to in that stun, getting bursted down to half. A huge amount of damage following it up. Barely able to escape. No Lifer saving him for now, but for how much longer? He gets silenced. He's going to mount up, try and cross the pillars, try and get out on that side. Smexen gates right on top of him. Sick play from Smexen. He's trying to stay right on his tail at the moment. Chaz should be able to deflect this. Sea-Doo even jumping in, trying to deal some damage, but I don't think they're going to take Chaz down with that Avenging Crusader up.
Yeah, Avenging Crusader versus Avenging Crusader. Who does more healing? Who does more damage? Chaz looks like he's going to be okay for now. The Kidney now onto Sea-Doo. They're trying to reverse the pressure, but a beautiful fear from Snuts. He's been on the ball, peeling Prey at every opportunity, and now Chaz caught up into that hodge. He has no breaks for this. Can they get the damage? Spam Sheep's coming up from No Lifer. He's trying to keep him alive. The Fell Lord, but instantly bopped by Chaz. He's just running around the pillar. He's in so much trouble. Are they going to be able to take him down here?
Ooh, they actually purged off the bop immediately. Method NA are going to crush Chaz in game number 1. I didn't expect them to do that strategy. I thought they'd play it a little more safe on No Lifer. Method EU, I think they just got caught off guard. Method NA are going to lead now 1-0.
A Counter-Strike Totem was up during right before the end of that kill, so I think it dumped a lot of damage into Chaz, unfortunately, at the end. So we've seen a lot of teams react very quickly to Counter-Strike Totem, just a little bit slow on that last one. Yeah,
and the Counter-Strike's actually doing a lot of work. I was really impressed by the play from Method NA. One of the things about LSD traditionally for a lot of people that have been watching WoW esports, so certainly over the last couple of years, is it's been a slower paced, more dampening composition. We saw the dampening buff highlighted by VHL earlier. They would play for that, stack it up, and try and win the game late. But now you really need to be watching the offensive cooldowns coming out of the Shaman, that Bloodlust on a 1-minute CD, also the Implosion and all of this bursty damage from the Demo Warlock. They can really burst you down, and that's what we saw. Chaz caught up in basically 3 swaps, and he dies on the 3rd swap. So we'll have to see what Method EU have as an answer for that, because this was their main composition. This was the blind pick. This is the most important game of the series, potentially, and now they're so far behind.
I mean,
all right, Rich, what did you think about that last game?
So I am actually all the way on the other side of the arena watching with Zuniaki right now, and that was by far the loudest match I've ever heard in my entire life. Everyone from Method NA just screaming for the kill over and over again. But Zuniaki actually has a few quick words to say about Sea-Doo.
I do? No, I'm just kidding. What's up? It's your boy Zuni. Yeah, I mean, I think he played really resilient. You know, he didn't like give up. He didn't panic as regarding CD. You know, he was 20%, had been dead on, didn't decide to bop, decided wings instead. So he's really like, I think it was really smart for him to, he knows he has to kind of like save his CDs for the right time. That's what kind of happened. And then if the ARM Paladin can't get really any effective momentum in the start of the game, it's really hard to come back from it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zuniaki. Sea-Doo looking poised to go into game number 2. Back to you, Jared.
All right, thank you, Rich. Yeah, these guys are getting ready, and of course, because the first map was won by Method NA, that does mean that Method EU now has to select their map, of course, first, and then once the map has been selected, Method NA then has to lock in which classes and specializations they're using, and then Method EU gets to pick their comp based off of that. So it'll be interesting to see what this team does pick. You know, normally when we see the map, we can kind of get an idea of what comp they might be running, and sometimes we see a big fake out by choosing a small map. You know, the enemy team is like, okay, they're going to cleave, so they set up something to counter that, and then they get, you know, wizards thrown at them. So we'll have to see the strategy call for this pick.
Yeah, we saw a shatter play from Northern Gaming Blue in the previous series when they were dealt this composition from Tempo Storm. So I would imagine they're going to go Tolvaron and maybe steal that strategy, play the double wizards, and try and get a kill on the enhancement shaman in the middle of the map like that. It could be a bit safer for them. I'm not sure how confident they are on that. I know that Healing Stat considers No Lifer probably one of the best Mage Shadow Priest combo players in the game. There's a lot of mages that are good at Rogue Mage, but he considers No Lifer to be the best at Shadow Priest Mage. So I would expect that. I think it would be their best card.
Yeah, I certainly think so. We can see Tolvaron is the map selection, and that probably does set up towards that shadow play comp. We already saw Northern Gaming also preferred Tolvaron for the shadow play, so there's no surprises there. Of course, that big open space is fantastic for two wizards to be spamming out their PvE bolts and getting out as much damage as possible, whilst a melee might struggle a little bit to reach his target. I just wanted to go over one of the things Zunyaki mentioned, though, in his brief little interview there with Richard, and he was talking a little bit about how Sea-Doo was using his defensive cooldowns. I actually think that was one of the really key metas during that last game, because Prey decided to hold on to his Vendetta. That's the big offensive cooldown for Assassination Rogues for the first minute and a half of that game. And the reason he would do that is to try, because he doesn't want Vendetta to just get bopped immediately by Sea-Doo, but Sea-Doo recognized that even in situations where his team was dropping low, he did not give up that defensive cooldown. And it meant that Prey never really had a good opportunity to press it. He ended up pressing it late in the game just because they needed to get something going. But of course, Chaz had already used this bubble, used so many cooldowns by then, they were just so far behind. And this, like, a lot of that just comes down to Sea-Doo being intelligent with his defensives.
Yeah, and especially because he is playing that Avenging Crusader, that means he doesn't have 2 Blessing of Protections. And that's like a big choice right there. So having to hold on to that for that Vendetta, that's a big deal.
Yep, for sure, and he played it perfectly. I think Sea-Doo really was the MVP of that first game, and it means a lot to these guys. You have to be experienced to be able to do that. I think if it was a less experienced player, he would probably be trading out the bubble, trading out the bop, especially when they're ahead in the matchup. A lot of players would be tempted to just keep their team offensive by using those defensive cooldowns offensively, like using them to keep the momentum going, and Sea-Doo didn't do that, and that's why Prey was unable to create the counter pressure we expect from an Assassination Rig.
I really want to see Method EU go back to the composition they played in EU. They had a Windwalker Monk for Prey, and they had a Mage from Frosty, but of course now No Lifer should fill that role. I feel like that Windwalker Mage combo is unique to them. However, they're going to go back to their bread and butter. This is the composition that got them to the European Regionals, and definitely proved to be a formidable opponent then. I'm sure that they're still masters of it. They're going to be going with the Shadow Priest, Frosty, the Frost Mage, No Lifer, and Chaz, still playing Holy Paladin. They've gone to Tolvaron Arena, one of the biggest maps in the pool. It's a triangle formation. There's 3 pillars faced like a triangle, and there's 3 open spaces faced like a triangle. So you're really going to see Method EU try and position in the open spaces, try and bait Method NA into those, and then burst them down. Meanwhile, Method NA, they're going to be forced defensive. They're going to be hiding most of the game, trying to bait people coming into the pillars. So definitely going to be a longer match than the first one that we saw, but still intense nonetheless. That Enhancement Shaman burst is so crazy.
Now, the thing to watch in this match, if you're following along at home on the Demonology Warlock, the first hand of Gul'dan isn't the scary one. It's if you ever see Snuts set up 2 hands of Gul'dan, because normally you can kind of eat the implosion damage if it's just 5 imps. But if you ever see Snuts start to cast that second hand of Gul'dan, that's when you know he's going to go all in on it.
Yeah, so basically the Demonology Warlock, the way the Implosion Burst works is how many imps you have. Of course, Hand of Gul'dans, they summon the imps, so if you can get 2 off within, I believe it's 12 seconds, he's going to have 8 imps or something like this. That's enough to get a big Implosion Burst. But at the same time, Shadow Priests, I like the choice of bringing in the Shadow Priests because they do a lot of their self-healing through Vampiric Touch, which is one of their dot abilities, and of course, the more targets they have the dot, the more healing they do. So we'll have to see how Prophecy can play. He has played phenomenally throughout, firstly, the qualifiers, but also the European regionals. If he can keep up that form, I expect to see Method EU looking very strong in this second game.
I really want to see how Smexen deals with the map. As a melee DPS, you have to commit yourself to your target or pull back defensively. And you make the wrong decision, you can die and throw the game. If you're playing too defensive, you never create any opportunities. So Smexen is really going to have to be the playmaker in this matchup.
Now, Chaz is playing Avenging Crusader, or Sea-Doo is playing Avenging Crusader, and Chaz is playing that double Blessed Hand, so he does have those 2 bops.
Yep, so the 2 bops are going to help him. This is going to be quite a long, drawn-out game. Chaz, we're expecting to see him sit back, so maybe the Avenging Crusader wouldn't have been a great talent choice for him, since, as you can see, just from the positioning right now, it's going to be very difficult for him to get that damage out. However, the fact that Sidu is playing that talent suggests he wants to be the team pushing in offensively at some point. We won't see that just yet, because they do need the opportunity for Smexen to cross the map. Of course, he is playing that melee class, so he benefits in 0 ways from running across the map right now, because he'll just get hit by the enemies. And actually, the imps that we saw from Snuts has already given Frofsy full insanity, so he's ready to go ham whenever he's needed to.
Yep, we can see a Hand of Gul'dan out from Snuts, and as Vihel was saying, if he goes for a second, when he's setting up the second Hand of Gul'dan, he's empowering those imps. He's setting up for burst on Frofsy. Frofsy needs to be careful here. He could just get 100 0'd. There comes the implosion out from Snuts, but Smexen wasn't able to connect, and that's when things get really scary, is if Snuts and Smexen can hit at the same time. Chaz moves up. He stuns Smexen. They've got him caught in the middle of the map. Huge burst following up. Sidu now caught into a polymorph. Smexen trades out his defensive cooldown to try and stay alive, but he's in the middle of the map. He's just eating so much pressure. Sidu's going to need to be careful here to pick him back up. Pops the Avenging Crusader, jumps right onto No Lifer, trying to get those attacking heals and trying to stay aggressive with Smexen as they turn the pressure around onto No Lifer. He's down to half. Frofsy's trying to mind control to reduce the incoming pressure, but No Lifer's getting hunted down. Sidu's just standing on top of his opponents, chopping away at them. No Lifer down to half. Frofsy getting swapped to, forced to disperse, and Method NA, after surviving that initial attack, are turning this game completely around.
Yeah, Sidu's still in their face. He really wants to get aggressive with this Avenging Crusader, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. However, there's no Astral Shift available for Smexen. He is vulnerable if Frofsy can land a good fear, and that should be his next target. We see he has the Insanity. There's the Void Form active for him. He's on fire. He's doing the most damage. The Silence comes out. Hodge onto Smexen. They're trying to get offensive here. Do they have any follow-up crowd control? It doesn't look like it. Sacrifice is available for Sidu, but he's not going to have to use that defensive cooldown.
Snuts saved that setup. He just feared Frofsy over and over and prevented any follow-up, and if No Lifer's only attacking by himself, it's not that threatening. So as long as Snuts is on the ball with his fears, he can control one of the players and prevent a kill. No Lifer getting bursted down. Smexen gonna swap. He doesn't want to overextend out of line of sight. You can see as he's playing in the middle side of the pillar, always switching targets so he doesn't line of sight Sidu. Sidu's now pushing up. Method NA are looking to try and get a kill here. No Lifer down to half HP. Sidu wants to get in there. He's looking for a stun potentially. There's a stun onto Chaz. They make the swap, immediately forcing the bubble. Huge damage coming out from Method NA. Now Method EU trying to turn it around with some cooldowns of their own. They've got Smexen down to half. Triple Fear out from Frofsy. Can they set up any more burst out of this? Smexen gets rooted behind the pillar. Sidu pops that Avenging Crusader, but he's not really able to attack anything. Smexen looking for a Hex, but he's dipping dangerously low here. Sidu needs to be careful. Smexen needs to get close to him so he can get those heals going. No Lifer sitting through that Hex, though, buys Smexen enough time to recover. Mind Control into the Fell Lord stun was a clutch move there from Frofsy, but it's not really going to capitalize too much just yet. Smexen now reconnecting to Frofsy. Snuts is trying to push up for some fears on Chaz. He lands the full fear onto Chaz. Do they have any damage is the question. Smexen not able to connect. He's chasing after, charges in over onto Frofsy. They've got him down to about half HP. Chaz doesn't really have any major defensive cooldowns that can deal with this pressure. Seems like he's just trying to spam heal through it. He needs to be careful. If he gets stunned in the middle of the map, he might just get bursted down. There's really good CC up from Method NA. No Lifer sitting through a Hex. Frofsy sitting through a fear. Method NA are in complete control.
Yeah, I like what Method EU are doing. They have to play out this. They're trying to return where we see the offensive cooldowns. They do force that dispersion on Frofsy. He's going to be okay for now, but Chaz is in a lot of trouble. He has to bop himself. Are they going to be able to get the purge? It doesn't look like it, and they're just, like you say, despite the fact they're pulling away, they're having to rotate these defensive cooldowns, and they are running very low. There's no bubble on Chaz, only one bop available now as well, and he's used the wings, so he's very vulnerable in the next attack, whereas Sidu basically hasn't had to use anything this entire game.
Yeah, No Lifer securing a sheep on Sidu. Sidu decides to bubble out. They want to stay aggressive for this move. He actually gets mass dispelled on the bubble, but they've got so much damage coming into Frofsy right now. He really doesn't have anything left to deal with it. He drops the Siphon down to try and get aggressive. He lands a double fear to keep himself alive, but Chaz has caught into a fear out from Snuts as well. Snuts is setting up the Hand of Gul'dan. He's spam fearing Frofsy away from Chaz. Are they going to follow it up with any burst? Smexen trying to connect with those Storm Strikes. Not able to hit just yet. He's going to swap over to No Lifer as the implosion connects. No Lifer blinks away from the fight. Frofsy pulling back as well. They're trying to overextend Smexen. Sidu doesn't have a trinket. He's actually playing Relentless, so if he gets caught in a sheep, it could still be the game. Can No Lifer find that opportunity? No, he's going to get hexed up. Fell Lord out from Snuts. Snuts is looking to take this game. Chaz gets fully feared. They stun up Frofsy. Triple CC out from Method NA. Frofsy could be in a lot of trouble here, but he fears away Smexen. Once again, sick peels from Frofsy to stay alive through this aggression.
But at the same time, Snuts is just playing this so well. Every single time Method EU want to go offensive, Snuts is just there with the fears. Of course, he has the casting circle, so he's immune to interrupts when he has that ability active, and he has just denied everything Method Method EU want to do during this game. And really, Method NA are just in no trouble. That's how come Smexen is able to play so offensively. You see him always connecting to a target. That should not be possible on this map.
Whoa, forcing a dispersion with no CC on Chaz. That's incredible. Method NA are crushing Method EU right now. Method EU are trying to turn this around. They've got Smexen to half, but no CC on Sea-Doo. He's been able to avoid a lot of incoming polymorphs, and if No Lifer can't follow up that crowd control on Sea-Doo, how are they going to get a kill? Now they're under a lot of pressure. Chaz is caught into a stun. He fears up Smexen. He polymorphs the Dispel instantly. Nice play from No Lifer. He's going to have full control of Smexen, which will allow Frosty to escape over here to the side. He's tossing out some heals on himself as well. Snuts now trying to peel for his team, setting up some Hand of Gul'dans over onto No Lifer. He blinks the Hand of Gul'dan. He's trying to avoid some damage here as he pulls back, but now Frosty is kind of overextended away from Chaz. Chaz might not be able to deal with this. He uses the Sacrifice Glacial Spike to try and turn it around, but Frosty's got nothing left. Method EU will be going down in game number 2. Method NA now leading the series 2-0.
Yeah, this game was just so easy for Snuts. I feel like Method EU were in the open at the wrong times at the end there. There was 8 imps available for Snuts. He just popped the implosion, so much damage, put Frosty down to 20%, and of course Smexen just able to finish off the job there. And honestly, that game was more convincing than the first.
There was a couple scary moments, of course, at the beginning. A couple huge glacial spikes did land onto Smexen. They did a great job of isolating him out in the middle, away from his team, and like we saw lots of control, like you were calling out. He was able to immediately polymorph off of the Dispel, so Smexen was stuck out in the middle. They just need to capitalize on that a little bit more. So the pace of the game with an enhanced Shaman on your team, every minute they're going to be able to go in because of Bloodlust. When you have Shamanism, has a minute cooldown, and their artifact ability Doom Winds, which is a large source of the burst, also has a minute cooldown. And then every other attempt, they'll basically be able to use their Wolves also just to put out a little bit of extra damage. So every minute, that's what you're looking for. When Smexen, you see him shout out, go big and red, and has the Bloodlust icon above his head, that's when they're going to start doing damage.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things, I don't know if you can hear, but Smexen is so loud. Maybe you can hear him on the broadcast. One of the main things about Prey, in particular, in previous games, of course he wasn't in this game, but he was considered to be the loudest, most annoying in some ways for the enemies on the map, just because you could hear him yelling like how much damage he has, and it gets to the other team. It unnerves them a little bit. And Smexen, he is so dominant. He knows when he has the damage to finish off the game. We hear him screaming pretty much the entire time. It's such a great thing to have on your team. And this game, it was just so strong. Like, I thought all the players played well. I mean, No Lifer, of course, he kept Frosty alive so many times with the spam polymorphs, as we said, but Snuts just was able to do whatever he wanted. We saw his damage on the board. Of course, it's a little bit buggy with the damage from the imps counting as well, but he still top damage by a mile in that game.
Yeah.
They weren't LOSing him. They weren't able to kill either because they weren't losing the fears. And if they play like that, then how are they ever meant to get the kill?
So Rich, what did you think about that last round?
Actually moved over to the main stage to watch this match just to hear Smexen. He's so loud here, and he is something to watch in person, and I can't wait to watch more matches. But it is so impressive to actually watch this squad playing this composition. At the regional finals, I actually got to talk to them a little bit about what they thought their best composition was, and they said they didn't know going into the tournament, but by the end, they were sure that it was this composition. And they are on a warpath, Jared, to be the first NA team to move on into the upper bracket.
All right, thank you very much, Rich. Yeah, this Method NA looking pretty dominant so far in this series. The first round definitely went a little bit back and forth. We saw a bunch of clutch plays by Sea-Doo to keep himself alive. So in a grand arena, definitely a little bit more balanced, I would say, in terms of which team was going to take it. But Tolvaron Arena, I mean, there was a couple scary moments with those huge glacial spikes onto Smexen, but I really hope Method EU has something up their sleeve to counter this comp.
Yeah, they're looking really hesitant is the difference I'm noticing. Method NA, they're committing. They know when they want to be defensive. They know when they want to be offensive. Whereas Method EU are kind of half and half. Let's try and go for a setup here, but then they don't fully commit everything, or they're just running away too much. And I'm not really feeling the confidence from Method EU, not the same way that I felt in the European Championship. So I really want to see more aggressive plays, a better stance, more confidence from Method EU if they're going to come back in this series, because they have to win 3 in a row at this point.
Yeah, and that was kind of their ace in the hole there. That was their map choice. That was their composition advantage. The first one, they probably saw Northern Gaming win with Shadowplay against Tempo Storm running that exact same composition. So Northern Gaming were able to win that matchup. But like we said, Tempo Storm just kind of copied this comp from Method NA after seeing their success with it. And they just weren't able to play it up to the same level. Method NA, they just looked so dominant in that matchup. The question is now for me, do Method EU go back to the Rogue Mage? I do not think they should play the Shadow again. Or do they bring out one of those other compositions that we mentioned they have available, such as that Windwalker Monk? I think that might be the kind of thing that they should be thinking about right now.
It's tough, though. Like a Windwalker Monk, you can definitely use Touch of Karma, you know, as your one big defensive. But, you know, if the enemy team has a Holy Paladin, they're going to be able to use Blessing of Protection to negate that. And a lot of burst onto that Windwalker, you might have to be running a whole lot, but it's an incredible amount of burst, you know, when you pair it with another high DPS class. Of course, Method NA, not going to change anything. This is working out very, very well for them. Smexen is very comfortable on Enhanced Shaman. Snut's picking up Demonology. Seems like he's really been practicing it a whole lot. And of course, Sea-Doo doing a great job on Holy Paladin to round it out.
Yep. And what I see on my screen right now, 4 very determined players. Sea-Doo has his eyes on the prize. He wants that BlizzCon championship. Snuts, we were talking about him a little bit earlier, like he's quite a mature person. He wants to be saving up, he wants to be buying a house soon. Like they have very clear goals in their mind, and these are the kind of players with the experience in hand that they know how to reach those goals when they're put to the challenge. Of course, Snuts has already won a BlizzCon. No one else in this of these 8 players has done that in the past. They just look so determined and they're so motivated in this series. They just look completely unstoppable right now.
They are looking unstoppable, and now Method EU, they need to find something that can answer this composition. Let's see what it is. They've locked in the same composition: Shadow Priest on Frosty, Frost Mage on No Lifer, and Holy Paladin for Chaz. Once again, Tiger's Peak, much smaller map. They're not going to have the same edge that they could have used on the last map. I'm not too sure about this lock-in. Maybe that they were just like, okay, we played badly on that one. Let's try it again. That's just a warm-up, and maybe they can bring this back. This is the composition that they came back with to qualify for their European Championship, so if anyone can do it, it's these guys.
Yeah, Prey does not look happy with the decision, though. You know, the look on his face, he's not in a happy mood right now. He's one of those players that he is quite an emotional player. I imagine the same with Smexen, but we've seen Smexen only winning, so we haven't really been able to see if there's a tilt side of him. So maybe keeping Prey out is, like, whilst he's going to be unhappy about it, maybe it is the smart decision for the team. Of course, Frosty, No Lifer, and Chaz, they have come back from some very big deficits. They were 2-0 down against Northern Gaming in the European Qualifier Cups. They were able to win that series 3-2. There's no reason why the same thing cannot be true in this series. We're just going to have to see if they've come up with a different strategy, if they can play slightly differently on this map.
Now, what do you think about Sea-Doo going Avenging Crusader yet again in this match? Playing against 2 casters that are going to try to spread the game out, I think it's a risky move, but they did do a great job with it last round.
He knows the target is Smexen, so if he's playing far away with the aggressive wings, then he's not going to be able to get any healing with it. He could play the same spec that Chaz is running, where it's more of a ranged Paladin spec, but I feel like it's weaker overall. The Avenging Crusader melee spec that Sea-Doo's running is the most health per second I think you can get in the game if you're attacking with it, so I think it's a nice talent for him. It allows him to play up with Smexen. He knows that he needs to overextend, so I think it's an okay decision. Meanwhile, Snuts will just be in the back line shooting out some Shadow Bolts, trying to build up some Soul Shards for those Hand of Gul'dans. He's already going for one right now. Smexen is charging in. He's got that freedom. Frosty kites away. This is what I really want to see from Method EU. Always moving in a circle on the outside of the map. Always dragging Method NA away from pillars. It's definitely what they need to be doing to win.
Yeah, and they, like we said, the counter to the Avenging Crusader cooldown from Sea-Doo, which we see him popping right now. Oh no, he popped a different cooldown, sorry. But the Avenging Crusader is to kite away from it. And there was a couple of times in that last game where No Lifer was the only target in range for Sea-Doo to do that melee damage, but he wasn't blinking away from the cooldown for some reason. I really feel like they need to play around that because it's such a big defensive cooldown from Sea-Doo.
This could just be the game. Chaz is caught into a fear. Frosty already had to disperse. We were really not expecting that big of a cooldown to be forced. Snuts has a lot of imps on the battlefield. He's ready to blow those up. Frosty in a lot of trouble trying to get out of line of sight here. Chaz in the middle of the map getting CC'd. Is he going to be able to reconnect? They might even swap to him. Snuts is just soloing Chaz right now. Sea-Doo's pushing up. They stun him in the middle of the map. Smexen is proccing. Chaz down to half. No Lifer in the meantime trying to make a turnaround, but they're not able to. Chaz is forced to bubble, and once again, Method NA are just stomping all over Method EU.
Yeah, Method EU are all over the place right now. Dispersion already used, Vampiric Embrace and the bubble, so many defensive cooldowns, and No Lifer has just been locked out of this game, caught up in the Hex right now. He's able to get out of that. Now here here comes the counter pressure. They need to get some cooldowns out of Method NA right now. That Avenging Crusader is still active. It's going to fall off right now, though, so Sea-Doo might actually struggle to top off Smexen. A nice little mind control, denying some of those heals. Do they have any cross CC for Sea-Doo, and how are they going to deal with the next onslaught? We see Bloodlust available for Method NA. Prophecy's in a lot of trouble, might just go down here, down to 10%. The Arcane Torrent, is he going to be able to stay up? He's able to LOS, he should survive for now.
Yeah, Chaz popping his Avenging Wrath to heal through the pressure. We see a silence on Sea-Doo as Method NA try to make something out of nothing here on Smexen, but they're not able to. Sea-Doo picks him up immediately. That means Smexen can stay aggressive. He can stay right on top of Frosty or No Lifer. He's looking for a Hex right now. He denies the Glacial Spike. Nice play from Smexen. These Hexes have been key to controlling No Lifer throughout this series. Finally, though, a Sheep onto Sea-Doo. Smexen could be in trouble here as he gets stunned up in the middle of the map. We need some damage up from No Lifer right now. He goes for the Glacial Spike. When he gets stunned, Snuts shuts him down again. He goes for it once again, but with no CC on Sea-Doo, it's going to create no pressure. He needs to get that Glacial Spike off. In the meantime, he goes for it now, but it doesn't really do that much damage. There's no CC on Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo stuns up Chaz. They're looking for a kill on Frosty. They force out his dispersion once again as he dips into the shadows to avoid some pressure. He's trying to pull them around. You can see that Method EU have basically done a full lap of the map on the outside, and I really feel if they keep moving like this, just always move. That Shaman needs to be in melee range. You see them running away again. If they keep moving like this on the outside of the map, they might be able to create an opportunity.
Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, Method NA are just playing so well. Take that last swap, for example. They did not overlap a single interrupt. Firstly, the Glacial Spike was stopped by Snuts' pet stun, then the wind shear, and then after that, of course, with Relentless on Sea-Doo, there's no more CC. So every single time they're playing so well, but here's the sides, here's the Hodge, onto Smexen. They do have the Astral Shift available. Are they going to have to use it? Bubble coming out from Sea-Doo. They're swapping over onto Chancellor. He's in a lot of trouble. That's 20%. Uses the Aura Mastery, kites away. He gets caught up. He has to bop out of that stun. Is he going to be able to stay alive? He should be able to. There is the Divine Purpose. He's going to be fine for now.
Yeah, I like that. Chaz retreating immediately away from Smexen. That's what happens. Whenever Method NA get right on top of them, they're in the most danger, which is why they always need to be moving. They need to make sure that Sea-Doo and Smexen are never together. Another Hex on No Lifer. Smexen controlling the mage so well in this matchup, chasing down Frosty for now. Snuts is getting some imps on the battlefield. They're looking to set up a kill on Frosty. Frosty sees it coming. He fears Smexen away. Chaz needs to be careful. Sea-Doo is hunting for a stun. He gets in line of sight. He stuns up Chaz. This could just be the end of the game. They swap to Chaz. He trinkets a little bit late. He gets stunned on his trinket. He's down to half HP. Not really anything remaining. He pops the Avenging Wrath to try and recover. Seems like he will survive for now. Nice peels coming out from No Lifer there to prevent any follow-up from Snuts. Smexen now pressuring No Lifer. No Lifer blinks away. He managed to get a Sheep over onto Sea-Doo. They need to keep that polymorph going, but Smexen breaks it up once again with his Hex. Nice plays. They're going to be able to stay offensive here. A banish onto the Shadow Fiend from Snuts to deny that pressure as well. Just amazing play from Method NA. Method EU can just find no opportunity.
Yeah, it's just amazing shutdown once again from Method NA. I think their offensive gameplay is good, but their defensive gameplay is better. We now see the Avenging Crusader coming out from Sea-Doo. They want to go offensive. Here's the stun onto Chaz. Dispersion is available for Prophecy. We might see that defensive cooldown. There it is on the stun. They're playing really well as well with the Fell Lord from Snuts as well. They're trying to get the stuns with the pet into that Fell Lord stun. So that's a lot of cleave damage. Very well played from Method NA. Now No Lifer taking the brunt of the damage. He should be okay though, as we see Method EU kiting away at this point.
Yeah, Method NA are charging in to try and end the game. They know Chaz is on the ropes. Smexen might be overextending though. He's stunned in the middle of the map. He's looking for that Hex. Gets the Hex on No Lifer. Follows up with huge burst onto Frosty down to 10%. How is he going to recover? Chaz is retreating away on his horse, but No Lifer's in trouble now as well. Chaz gets stunned up. No Lifer's forced into the block. Mind control on Smexen is holding him at low health. Maybe they can set something up. No, Frosty gets stunned on that mind control, freeing up Smexen, allowing Sea-Doo to connect. Some heals going to here. Smexen needs to be a bit careful. I'd like to see a preemptive Astral Shift maybe for the next burst as he is overextending. If they push now, they can end the game. Nobody has anything to survive on Method EU. They've got nothing left. Implosion on No Lifer, sundering him away. Back to the back line. Sea-Doo caught into a shape. Method EU, this is maybe their last chance to make something happen. Can they keep the chain going? They have to abandon it. They're forced to run away. If Smexen can reconnect for any amount of time, Method EU will just get crushed.
And yeah, just look at the mana as well as we go into dampening. Sea-Doo playing this Avenging Crusader spec is so mana efficient, which means they have dampening on their side as well. In many ways, we see Method EU kiting away, but they can't run forever. Here's the stun onto Chaz. He opts not to bop it, but No Life is taking a lot of trouble right now. We see the offensive. They're trying to counter pressure with Prophecy. He pops the Void Form. He goes for the silence, but he's not able to get anything going. The Bloodlust coming up from Smexen. The screams for kill. Chaz in trouble. No Life in trouble. They're trying to counter pressure, but once again, Snuts is all over it, and they can't get anything done.
Big Glacial Spike onto Smexen. Sea-Doo needs to be careful. He gets locked on his heel. It could be the end of the match. Snuts sees that coming. He's trying to fear up Frosty. He's trying to stop some incoming pressure. No Lifer blinks behind the pillar to line of sight interrupts. He gets some frost bolts out there. This Glacial Spike could be huge onto Smexen. He doesn't have any cooldowns to deal with it. Any polymorph on Sea-Doo, they might be able to get a kill, actually. Sea-Doo going off the pillar, trying to get offensive. He stuns up No Lifer, but he walks locks into a triple fear. Frosty are looking for the setup onto Smexen. Smexen sees it coming. He's already running away behind the pillar. Smart move from Smexen. If he overextended there, he could have thrown the match.
Yeah, Sea-Doo MVP once again there. He did get caught up in the polymorph, but he was able to pre-hand of sacrifice that CC, and that meant that he was able to get the heals out to keep Smexen alive. But now they're the offensive team. We see the signs actually coming out on Smexen. There's no Avenging Crusader available. He does get the big Aura Mastery heal though, so Sea-Doo doing a good job rotating through those healing cooldowns, whereas Chaz is He is struggling to top his team. Despite the defensive fears coming out of Prophecy, they're in so much trouble as Dampling stacks.
Method NA were able to use that Warlock Gateway and Portal right on top of Method EU and keep their pressure going. Hex on Prophecy, stun on No Lifer. Chaz was trying to drink. Will he be able to survive this? He has Temporal Shield available, opting to actually not activate it right now. He's in a lot of pressure right now. Chaz is running out of mana. Method EU are running out of time. Huge burst on Prophecy. He uses the Dispersion. He almost dies through it. Method EU are on the run, start to finish in this match. Method NA are looking to close. Sea-Doo pushing up. Snut's going for those hand to Gul'dans. He's ready to burst. Who's going to go down is the question. It could be anyone at this point. Smexen gets stunned up. Here's the last opportunity for Method EU to turn this around. They get a polymorph on Sea-Doo. Smexen sees it coming. He deflects it with his Astral Shift. They're going to have to kill him through that cooldown. I don't think they have the damage to do it. Now No Lifer's in trouble. Smexen is looking to close the game. He's stunned up. Chaz has nothing left, and there's really no way he can keep No Lifer alive. The Blessing of Protection's the last line of defense. Mind controls desperately over onto Smexen to keep No Lifer alive. No Lifer blinks behind the pillar, and Chaz is the miracle Holy Paladin to keep his team alive right now.
Yeah, Prophecy were a beautiful mind control there. Full duration on Smexen, that stat, and that was the reason that they were able to stay alive. But despite the fact they're staying alive, they're still struggling so much. Chaz does have that Avenging Wrath available right now. That's how come he was able to top his team there. But after that, he's got nothing left, and we are at 20%, dampening the offensive go from Method EU, but that's answered by the bubble preemptively from Sea-Doo. He should be able to keep Smexen alive, and now No Lifer, no Ice Block available, hasn't used that Temporal Shield. Now able to opt that, he might be able to stay alive. The Glacial Spike on Smexen. This game is so close, it could really go either way at this point.
Yeah, both Paladins are running out of mana. Frosty's Dispersion is coming up pretty soon. No Lifer gets hexed up. Smexen's moving in to end the game. Frosty down to half HP. He needs Dispersion. It's up in 10 more seconds. Can they keep him going? No Lifer needs to peel right now. He's going for the polymorphs. He's not able to get it. He gets wind sheared by Smexen. He's trying to summon his water elemental, trying to keep Frosty going here. Snut's getting sheeped up finally by No Lifer. No Lifer now trying to set up the kill onto Smexen. Smexen really doesn't have anything to deflect an attack. He might be overextending. He could quite possibly throw the game. Sea-Doo needs to be careful with his positioning. They stun up No Lifer. They're looking for the kill onto him. He has nothing left. The bob comes out from Chaz, but now Chaz has nothing left. Chaz gets stunned up on his horse. He's forced to trinket out to retreat away. Smexen getting slowed by No Lifer is the only thing keeping them alive right now. They're trying to pull back. They're still on the run. How can they turn this around? Prophecy mind controls Smexen away. Chaz is trying to sit down for a drink. He's actually getting mana back. This is insane. If he gets that's enough mana to keep the game going at least for another minute to try and make a miracle happen.
Beautiful setup by the whole of Method EU. They're getting the drink because of Prophecy's MC and because of their tempo on No Lifer. They knew they were able to go for that. Will it be enough? That is the question. Sea-Doo does not have any defensive cooldowns available. We see the Astral Shift. We see the Avenging Crusader. That is the last defensives on Method NA. But No Lifer has nothing left. He does not have the block. He is going to fall, and that is a 3-0 in favor of Method NA.
There was a couple incredible plays during that match. When you called out that Sea-Doo sacked that poly, that was actually the second poly in that entire chain. He barely hit his Hand of Sacrifice a split second before the first poly, so his team was able to stay offensive. And then when they were trying to poly him again, he still had that dot rolling from Ultimate Sacrifice, so he was able to break that one also. So great job by Sea-Doo during there. And there was actually a really interesting play that I want to talk to Snuts about it at some point. So we saw lots and lots of mind controls happening, right, during that. And during one of those times, Snuts actually put Doom onto Smexen, which is kind of scary because Doom can hit for like 800k. So he is kind of like banking on, okay, I'm gonna save a shard onto Smexen, and you know, once that Doom ticks and I get the shard back, you know. But that's a really risky play, and Smexen wasn't dispelling it off of himself either because you know they still have remove curse. Or they still have a way to remove curses off themselves. So that's really interesting, and I'm actually not sure why it happened. I mean, maybe Snuts was just tab dooming everything and maybe hit him, but the fact that he didn't dispel it means something was going on there.
Yeah, that's almost a little bit of a mistake. You don't really want to be dooming your own teammates. I think they might have a little conversation about that if they realize it. But ultimately, I was just ecstatically happy with how the entire team played. Maybe a little mistake here from there. We can expect that. It's the first stage game for any of these teams in several weeks, especially on the BlizzCon stage. But Sea-Doo, he did such a good job rotating through his cooldowns on that ult class. They tried to punish him from game one with the Assassination Rogue tunneling him down with Prey nothing was happening from it. Sea-Doo was able to keep his team up for 8 to 9 minutes of intense pressure from a very good shadow play during that last game as well. And Snuts, for me, he was the MVP, the 5-time BlizzCon competitor. He was all over Method EU. Almost all their setups were denied by those spam fears, by the axe toss. They did not overlap and interrupt, and he just played phenomenally for me.
All right, and Rich is standing by with Sea-Doo on the stage.
Yeah, I am here with Sea-Doo after an impressive victory, and you did it not on Shaman, which was always your class. You did it on the Paladin. Did you feel like you were a better Paladin in this matchup?
I didn't think so necessarily. I think going into this matchup, we definitely had a comp advantage. The comp we were playing was actually a lot easier to play from my Paladin's perspective, so I think Chaz is actually really good at all the healers. I don't think I played particularly better in any way whatsoever. I definitely think we had a comp advantage. We worked really hard to kind of target Rogue Mage in this composition, this format of this type of tournament. There's a lot of Rogue Mages in here, and a lot of them have God comp as like the alt comp or whatever. So, you know, it was one of the things we went in here to make sure we knew how to beat. We knew we played them first round, so we prepared a lot against that team.
One of the big things that we actually talked about was the fact that you didn't really stream that much. I think you said something like 40 hours the entire month, which is like a quarter of what you usually do. And that was just to get practice in. Do you feel like that practice is really starting to pay off even after just the first match of the day?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why I knew. That's why I knew I didn't want to do it. You know, going into regionals, we took basically a full week off streaming and just played nonstop. So I knew if I did that again, we put the time in that, you know, it should pay off. And so far, so good. So we'll see if we can keep that going.
So you have 3 dogs, 2 cats, and a beautiful fiance back at home. How much does that fuel you in this, your last chance at BlizzCon?
I know I got a big support group. There's a lot of people watching me, you know, just, you know, friends, family, everyone at home. So I'm working hard for everyone. You know, I want to do well for my fans. I want to do well for my family. And at this point, it's almost like I just want to, you know, kind of say thank you to the guys who support me all the time and just do my best.
Well, great job in your first match. Jared, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Rich and Sea-Doo. What an amazing match. Sea-Doo just playing, doing such a great job. You know, we watched him yesterday play a lot of Holy Paladin while he was practicing. And, you know, because most people know him as that Resto Shaman. And not only do they know him as a Resto Shaman, we saw him play Mistweaver a whole lot last tournament during the Americas Regionals. So for him to be able to flex and work at that Holy Paladin, take some time off streaming, and just constantly hammer games out and get more and more comfortable on Holy Paladin is great to see the versatility of these players.
Yeah, and they talk a little bit about the streaming. Of course, they have so much to balance. Of course, the number one priority is always practice for these guys. They definitely say that for sure, but they have like Snuts, he has to stream, so he's like streaming when the other guys are practicing, and then Smexin streaming when the other players are practicing. But Sea-Doo, he really has to make the ultimate sacrifice for the ultimate prize because he's the healer. He has to be involved in every comp, and like we said, it's been paying off. He actually did mention that he'd rather have played more Paladin on live, but it didn't look like he needed to. He was just playing on top of his game during that series.
Method had synergy, they had strategy, and they had execution. You could really tell the confidence of all 3 players on their team. They prepared for that. They needed to beat Rogue Mage. That's the composition to beat in this tournament, and they performed 3-0ing Method EU. None of us could have predicted that. That's actually insane. They're going to be feeling pretty awesome moving into their next game later today.
Yeah, and I really liked Snut's play of constantly putting out pressure. I know that Demonology is a big kind of one-shot comp that everyone expects, but you know he was constantly getting out, you know, constant demonic empowerments, even when he's not looking for Thalk heals. You know, try to toss that burst out, but it really kind of softens up the target, forces him to use defensives not during that minute burst window of Bloodlust and Doom Winds. You know, pairing that together. So I got to give a shout out to not only Snuts, Smexin pairing well, really well with that. You know, Smexin just doing a great job throughout this entire match. You know, he's a man. You know, if you want damage on your team, this is the guy to bring.
Oh yeah, for sure, and that's why he's here, right? Like, I mean, his main class isn't necessarily caught up in the meta right now, the Warrior, so he's on that enhancement, and he's just looking so strong on that class. The burst coming out, every single time he presses Bloodlust, you notice it. You don't even have to look at the cooldown. I could cast the game basically by looking at the health pools on Method EU. Every time that cooldown comes, you just see someone dying or someone dead. No Lifer was the victim at the end of Game 3, and it was just so strong coming out of Method NA.
Yeah, I tell you, one of the best feelings in the world right now is if you're playing an Enhanced Shaman and you have an ability that resets the cooldown of your Storm Strike, which is your hardest hitting ability, and gives you 2 charges of it. So you're just mashing Storm Strike, and then sometimes it resets again, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm going in. So, you know, you can hear Smexin yell when he gets those procs and stuff, and it really sets up that kill for the team. But great job by Method NA defeating Method EU. So we're not going to see much out of Method EU until next week. They have a whole week to talk about what's going on with their comps. But we're going to let the next team set up, and we'll be back to you after this break.